So hello everyone, today we have a special episode in our PMP Interview Mastery Series, and today we are discussing some of the real life interview questions, and we have a one volunteer who is willing to share his questions, and we brainstorm together to find out how possibly as a project manager you can answer those questions. Now, before we get into the details, maybe you give a little background about your role and the profile, and so that we can connect it well, and then we start talking about your questions.
Hey, hi, Saket. This is Krishna. So I have total 15 years of IT experience. I started my career as a developer, and later I was leading a team. So eventually I started moving into the business, managing the business stakeholders and business management. So I've done my certification. I was morely working on technical side. But recently, I got an opportunity where where I need to work as a Scrum Master. So I've recently, I've gone through your classes and done my PMP certification. Thank you so much for your support. So
Great.
now I'm trying to apply for a product manager role where I haven't, much explore on that, in that areas. So
Okay.
I have a few questions which I want you to address. And
Perfect.
I'm apologies for the short notice, and you have given your time, and thank you so much.
Perfect. Let's get started. I think let's get to the action. Yeah, go ahead. Share your question.
Okay. So the first question, which they'll ask for the brief introduction. So I'll start with information saying that I'm working as a project manager with a team of 5 people, and we have standard structure of prioritizing the projects based on certain factors: time, cost, what is the criticality. So based on that, we prioritize the projects, and that is how we take it forward. We decide what is the methodology we choose, and scheduling a meeting with stakeholders, and that is how it is. So,
Perfect.
but now I'm not comfort as now, so I was not able to deliver as I was thinking. So could you please tell me in your
Okay.
process?
So see, it's a brainstorming. We are just exploring together. Now, if I'm an interviewer and I hear this answer, yeah, so what probably a picture I will create in my mind? The picture I created, I might have a totally different picture, but that's a possible feedback for you. So you can say what I'm thinking is that you might be working in a multi-department environment. There is a IT team of 5 people, and you are taking care of some kind of ad hoc and in-house work, and you keep getting things coming from here and there, and you work with these 5 people and deliver things. Yeah, that is what I hear, or I probably have interpreted from your answer. Now, if you don't want to give this impression, then you probably need to change your answer. So few things that you don't have to talk about 5 people. Yeah. Because if you have too many people, then you probably want to say that I am leading a project team of 50 people. But if you feel that you have a project team which is small and may not justify the overall project manager role, then you don't have to talk about your team size. So see, the management role makes sense when your teams are big. If you have a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people team, the manager will be doing some amount of management and a lot amount of technical work. It will be a technical leadership only. But as you have a bigger teams, the manager will have more complex stakeholder engagement, and the manager has to work in other areas rather than supporting the team in a technological space. If I hear that you are working with a small team and that is also getting work and from various stakeholders and prioritization, I make an impression that you might be doing a lot of technical work and mentoring to those people and less project management work. Okay, what do you think about my interpretation?
That is good, but generally how it happens is here handling the projects internally as well as external handling external projects is quite different. When I was saying we have a team of 5 people and we report to a program manager and we manage multiple projects at the same time. So both I was interpreting that I was working on both internal and external projects here in my scenario. But it's like to be frank and open, we have a robust architecture where multiple teams are involved. So that is how I was projecting. So what
Yeah.
do you advise? You
So
you
what
won't
I'm saying
advise?
is, so you
Yes.
get away from 5 people team and
Mhm.
you focus on, so see, there is no perfect answer for talking about yourself. But the whole idea is you want to demonstrate that you are handling projects and you have an experience of handling complex projects and you have delivered the products to the stakeholders who have achieved better values because of your product delivery. Yeah, probably this is what you want to communicate. And you may also want to communicate that you are coming from a technical background, which is a reality for you. And you are coming from a technical background, and that technical background, rather than becomes a hurdle, gives you a capability to talk in the technical language and also empathize with people to understand their complexity. And that helps you in doing better project management. Yeah, so that is something you probably want to communicate. Now, how you structure your answer so that these things get communicated, that is something you need to write the answer a few times, practice it, reevaluate it, and that's how you can probably reach. So say a possible things could be, you can say, I have a 25 years or 20 years of project industry experience. You start with that. My initial duration, I was more focused on core technical work. I have been a pure technological work at that time. And then gradually I started moving to managing and working and leading team. And I was primarily involved as a Scrum teams initially because agile way of working was commonly used in our organization. And off late, I started also taking care of overall project management responsibility. So now this is like a path you show. You show from a developer to a Scrum Master to a project manager. So then person can start relating. Now you need to bring some content in this path also. So you probably need to talk about that over a period of time, this is the type of domain I have worked in. So you may talk about that as an example, I might have worked in a data warehousing, I might have worked into a particular technology in a domain thing, and we have developed work or a solution for such kind of customer segment. We have taken care of retail projects, which helps one of my project helps the organization achieve this or a customer achieve this. So you talk about little bit about the value that particular project has delivered. Yeah, and then you also talk about some of the project management complexities. So you can say that I am talking about dealing with the project where the team members are spread across multiple geographies. I have a project where stakeholders are more than 50 and they have a regulatory requirements also. So I bring those things. So the listener thinks, okay, you can do complex team management. You can work in a hybrid environment. You can work with a remote team. You have a technological mindset. You have these particular domains experience. Yeah. So again, I'm not saying that you have to take it as it is, but something like this you need to figure out rather than just talking about robust architecture. That could be just a technical part of it. You need to talk about the customer also, the business problem also, the project management aspect as well. Uh, uh, so scheduling, using a scheduling tool. Don't jump to say that I manage cost, I manage schedule. That will be a summary thing. You can say we use I'm comfortable with using these kind of scheduling. I'm comfortable with working with MS Project, Jira. So you bring those ideas. So now whatever I said out of it, whatever is relevant in your space, maybe 10%, 20%, and you can probably learn a little bit more and create a rest of the 80% story. Based on that, you need to come up with your description of what you do and what is tell me something about yourself or tell me about yourself kind of answer. What do you think?
Yeah, makes sense. Perfect. And my another question is, do we need to, explain the entire phases of the project as part whenever someone is asking us to, explain your project management experience, or is it how we need to answer this
So
question?
like in our this podcast series, the second video I made, tell me something about project. So I do want to talk and give you that framework and then we can brainstorm if you have some follow-up question. So I usually see project from three areas. Yeah. What was the overall business problem we had? Yeah. What kind of technological solution we produced? And in between what kind of processes I used, what kind of people I worked with, what kind of stakeholders I worked with, the project management. I call it the between thing is the project management. So when I talk about project, I need to address some portion of all these three. I need to show that I understand what kind of problem we solved. So say we were working on retail software, we were working on banking software, we had a credit card software, so something like that. You explain, or we were working on media domain or distribution domain, power domain. So you talk about little bit type of problems or a particular project, the type of problem it has solved. It creates an impression in the listener that you do know about your domain as well. You are just not talking about your execution thing. So that's the first part of it. Then you talk about your project management aspect. Now, what could be a project management aspect? The project lifecycle you use, definitely an aspect. Yeah, the project management software you use, definitely an aspect. Yeah, the type of complexity of the stakeholder, the geographical distribution, yeah, is definitely there. The critical matrices you tracked. Now, it is also related to the life cycle you choose. So what kind of management reporting, what kind of tracking you did, you probably want to give a little bit insight about it. Yeah. So, and the project management type of challenges, what was most challenging part of it? You may not remember and tell it was a challenge, but you stress on that, this project was involving compliance requirement, which were complicated. This project was involving vendor, which was complicated. So you need to figure it out. What was the challenging part of it in the project management? You explain that. And then in between, not necessarily in a sequence only, you talk about the solution you produced. So you may also show some competency that our solution was creating a dashboard, creating an online platform, which can be used by these many people in parallel. It has this kind of performance requirement. This is how it was securing the data. So you give some detail about your solution. So by doing it, now if I'm a more into technical space, I might speak more about solution. Yeah, that may give an impression also that yes, you are working in a hands-on, but it could be a little negative also that you are too much into technology only. You need to balance. If you talk too much about project management, it may show that you are primarily doing project management, may not be knowing technology and business much. So depending upon what the expectation of the job, some jobs may expect technical project manager, then I will be focusing on explaining the solution and project management space. If some jobs are purely focusing on project management and your management skills, then you give a brief introduction of the problem and the solution, but you spend more time talking about your risk management, vendor management, and the reportings and stakeholder communication and distributed teams, those kind of things, which you learn in your PMP exam, that will become more prominent there. Yeah, so this is how you need to mix and match, but you need to prepare for it. So say for each project, you probably need to write a 200, 250 words description, review it multiple times, at least 7 times, I usually say that review that description 7 times. And before you go for an interview, for each interview, try to also customize it. Yeah, because it is not going to be a same answer depending upon who is and what kind of role. Some roles are more technical oriented, some roles are more business oriented. So accordingly, you probably need to strengthen some of the ideas and reduce some of the ideas, and that is how you prepare your project description. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense, Saket. Thanks for the detailed explanation.
Yeah, good.
So my next question was, like, what are your day-to-day activities? And this is actually, as a Scrum Master, I was explaining my day-to-day activities. That I'll be working on day-to-day activities as planned. What are the major milestones we have? Any issues or the risk on day-to-day basis, or availability of the team, and what is a sprint status report. And like I was explaining on Scrum way of my day-to-day activities, but whereas he was asking, you were not in a Scrum process, you are in the predictive process. So tell me your day-to-day activities.
So it is pretty much aligned to our first video of this podcast also, where we talk about what are the competencies and skills of a project manager. So why this person is asking you what is your day-to-day activity? The most likely reason is the person wants to understand what kind of skills you have. Because if you show some things you are doing very frequently, I understand that these kind of skills you will have. And if you are doing something very frequently, which I don't value, then I also understand this person is not fit for my requirement. Yeah, so that's the whole idea. So from where my day-to-day activity should come from the job description. Yeah. So say I might be doing 20 things in my day. Yeah. I can make a default answer, which is definitely helpful, but I need to see that what all my 20 things, the overlap between a job description and my day-to-day activities should be reflected more. Yeah, that is something needed. Now for our, since you are a PMP certified as well, you can definitely take those 35 tasks which we learn in our exam content outline to give you a reference about what the project managers are expected to do. Yeah. So if you are saying that, there is a replanning work, a good amount of planning and replanning, yeah, be it you are agile or non-agile, in the non-agile space, that replanning of your various aspects about project scheduling, adjustment of it, resource overloading. So those all replanning related things will come. Yeah, initially you might be doing planning and then replanning related things will come. Lot of work related to stakeholder engagement and interaction will come. So as we learn our PMP exam, the majority of time of a project manager on an ongoing basis goes into communication and integration. Yeah. So integrating various aspects of project management, someone wants to change something, you need to see where all the impacts will go. You want to bring stakeholders on the same page so that they have a common understanding. So bring out those things, a typical day which requires analysis of some of the emails, some of the requests which the stakeholder has had, explaining the progress and the status of your work to various stakeholders, preparing the reports, that will be definitely be a part of it. So you prepare a plan, you replan the plan, you take care of change request management in case of predictive life cycle on an ongoing basis. You update and reviews risk periodically. Yeah, if there are new risk comings, you take care of it. Good amount of time goes into issue management. You prioritize the issue, you resolve the issues, and you can talk about that depending upon my current environment has a multiple stakeholders. So good amount of time goes into ensuring the follow-up and integration of those issue status. You may do a quick review meeting. You call it status meeting in case of project management. That also some good time goes into it. Forecasting or republishing the minutes of the meetings also will take good time of yours. Yeah, the requirements are not necessary to be frozen in the beginning only. There is expected to be a progressive elaboration of requirement. So that will also take again, you should be able to match the story. If whatever project you are working, if you are showing that, we are also progressively elaborating our work breakdown structure and our requirement, that is also another type of work I will be doing. And that progressive elaboration may have a various meetings. So I need to publish minutes of meetings also. If I have a complex stakeholder space, that could be our work. And then continuously weekly reviews, monthly reviews and presentations that remains there, ensuring the dashboards are reflecting the real status, ensuring the tasks are getting updated. If the tasks are getting overdue, working out with the people to find out if there is any issue, I need to resolve it. That could be another type of activity. So you create based on your project description and something which you do really, and based on the description of the job profile, you create some kind of day plan for you. Yeah, maybe 2-3 typical days. All days are not same. So you can say in an agile word, you can say the day we will do sprint planning. So you may have that particular day. Non-agile way of working, you can say the day where I handle change request, the day where I do a replanning of my project schedule, because re-estimation, replanning is also a frequently done activity. So you may talk about how much time goes there, the type of reports I produce, so preparation of those reports, the type of problem analysis I do, some defect analysis, some issues analysis, those things, the stakeholder negotiation. So you make these kind of items and try to create a typical day out of it, yeah, which should also match with the job description which you are applying for. So I think go with a prepared approach like this can help you, and these are some of the ideas which you can use to fill your day.
Yeah, thank you so much, Saket. I got a lot of information on this.
Great, yeah.
So I'll move to the scenario-based questions. So in one of my interview, I was questioned that, assuming that you are handling multiple projects, at the same time with multiple vendors, and you got a requirement. Let's say that one requirement is from finance team, another requirement is from marketing team, another requirement is from HR team, and you are in the last quarter, and in that quarter, all the three stakeholders wanted you to make you to go ahead and deliver these deliverables which they are expecting by the quarter end. And these people are critical to the organization, and we cannot say no to them. And and uh, like and at the end of the year, they wanted they're expecting these deliverables to show up their functional areas in their respective areas. So they are pushing you to deliver some requirements. You like, let's assume that you understand the requirements, and you have a 20-member team, and you have just as I said last quarter, you have just available time for you is 3 months, and you are able to only deliver only C requirement, which is from HR, and both A and B cannot be met. So being a project manager, you cannot say no to them, and how you are going to handle it, and what are you going to do as part of your activity? How do you manage the situation?
Yeah, so the whole idea is there could be any such kind of question, and there is no right and wrong answer for these situations. What they are trying to see here is how do you handle crisis, or how do you handle a challenging situations? Yeah. Or if you have an experience of doing it past, then how you might have done it in a past. Yeah. So that is something is needed. Yeah. So now in this particular situation, it might be a good idea if you can take a reference from the past. That's something can work out. Yeah. But if there is no reference, you can say what kind of principles you will use. So you may start with saying exact solution depends upon various scenarios, but there are some of the guiding principles I will use in order to navigate to this particular situation. Yeah. So you are also keeping things open. You are not saying that this is the solution, because the interviewer may have a different solution in his mind or different approach in his mind. You can say, but these are the high level ideas I will work on, and then I will drive a possible solution out of it. Now, what could be a high level ideas? So first idea is that I definitely want to understand the requirement of all these three stakeholders very carefully. And I want to really work with them and understand that, yes, there is a priority and criticality associated with it. Yeah. So I empathize. I definitely empathize and work closely with them. So I understand that. So understanding the requirement, understanding the stakeholder pain is my first action. My second action is that whatever is possible, yeah, I also want to keep those things transparent. So I focus on empathy, I focus on transparency. Now, the third thing I focus on, how can we solve this problem collaboratively? Yeah. It is not like I need to tell no to two people and yes to one person. How do we handle these things collaboratively? So empathization, collaboration, and transparency. Transparency about my limits. Yeah, all these three I will use as a guiding factor. Now, on top of it, then we will figure it out. Is there any possibility of doing prioritization of these three requirements? Is there any possibility of splitting the team into three sections and giving each area some prioritized item which are critical for them and addressing it? Is there any possibility that we augment our work with some outsourced solution? So we need to figure it out collaboratively. And if we can't do it, then also we need to accept that all these three things are not possible. Now we need to figure it out and work with some other stakeholders who can help us in making these decisions. But I don't want to say that, and that's a guiding thing you will use. What you can also say that as a principle, what I will not do is just doing prioritization alone without letting the people know the story behind it, hiding my or keeping my team requirement and status isolated and trying to handle myself. Yeah, that is also I will not do. So I will focus on transparency. I will focus on continuous updates. And this is how I probably can make a solution. So there is a possibility of prioritization. There is a possibility of negotiation. And I definitely want to have a better relationship with these stakeholders already. If I don't have a better relation with stakeholder, then we have a problem. Yeah. But I be transparent. At the same time, I am looking for solving the problem. I know I have a limit, but I am willing to figure out if we can, both of us can find out some solution together. So prioritization can be done. Vendor support can be taken if that is feasible. Splitting of teams can be done if that is feasible, or adding some extra manpower if it is feasible in case of crashing of the project. Yeah, buying some kind of ready-made product or a solution, if that is feasible, we do it. Doing a partial solution and finding the proper solution at a later stage could be also a solution. So we may take some shortcuts initially and we refine it later on. All these are possibility. Yeah, but exactly what will I do? It depends. It depends upon when I really get into that situation and how these three people react also. They are listening to me, not listening to me, and what I can really understand about the priority. So exact situation will vary, but these are the some ideas which I probably can do as a project manager. Now, if you have done it in the past, if you had some similar situation, you can also give an example of it. I happen to stuck into this particular problem like this before, and this is how I managed. Yeah, maybe you have managed by splitting your team capacity for these three departments separately and said, we have a three type of work item. Inside it, you can prioritize. So I have a 20 people, I'm giving 777, for example, yeah, 776. And then you figure it out what you want to get them from the next 3 months. And then we prioritize in the each area, and then we figure it out. That was one solution I did. In the another place, I involved the senior manager, the head of these three guys, and says, this is the situation, and then head help us in figuring out what is the real priority. Yeah, so all these could be your options.
Okay. Thanks for the detailed explanation. Here, like budget was not a constraint, is what they were saying, and they still wanted us to make. How do you are going to mitigate the requirement and manage the delivery is what they were questioning.
Yeah, so definitely you can look for vendors if budget is not a constraint, if that is feasible. Adding team and hoping that team will do a magic in the 3 months time is little risky because team has their own Tuckman ladder. If you say from 20 people, I will make 40 people team and do it. So they may want to just trap you in that only, because that is not going to happen, because there will be a team development stages and initially their performance will dip. They will not be able to produce a result. But if you have a ready-made team to the vendor or a ready-made solution, that is possible. You can say that team is already ready. They can just take the requirement and they can deliver it. That is still a feasibility. But you bringing and augmenting your own team may not be a good idea all the time. So you can also explain that risk associated with adding people to your project team.
Okay, so as you were saying that you will be giving it partly to the vendor. So could you please throw some light on that part as well?
So for example, you have a requirement where you have a particular component which can be easily outsourced. So you have you have a website part. You can say, okay, this part is easy to outsource and we have a qualified vendor who can do it. Let that part go outsource and rest of the work will be done by our team, like this, if there is a possibility of taking help from outside.
And if there is no possibility that we cannot get these resources, there are some technologies we cannot find the resources very quick.
Yeah, so
So
that's
in
the
that
reason
case,
you don't want to be very specific about your solution. So you are saying these all are possibilities. I'm not saying these are the solutions which will work. So don't say it's a solution. You can say these are the possibility. But what I want to focus on, working collaboratively for this problem, exploring various options and figuring out which one will work in this particular situation. Yeah, so that's my high level idea. And these are the possible path. You understand, if this is not the case, we won't be able to work for technology called outsource. Then we need to find out other options, probably reprioritizing it, splitting the team, or working with the senior stakeholders just to have a reprioritization only for one requirement. All these things can be looked after.
I understand that what are the various ways you can check for that, but realistically, is it really possible to deliver all these three deliverables, providing the required budget with the same resource? Is it possible? Maybe because we cannot stretch the resource to that extent, and
The
we have
idea
very short.
is we are exploring together. Yeah, if it is possible, I am looking for possibility. I am always innovatively ready to think beyond limits. Yeah, but I can't say that I won't look at it and I don't lose hope. So there is a possibility someone may want a great system. You may come up with the option where a lot of steps are manual. Yeah, you can say we will not add these entry screens and all. We will do file upload, but we will produce your report. For example, the HR guys want to have some kind of performance report coming for their skill manpower, and they need some steps to achieve it. You can say all these steps cannot be done, but we can do a report. As of now, we will give you a text format. You put all those information in that format. We will upload it, and using that processing, we will produce the report. Yeah. So we have taken care of your requirement, but yes, there is a user interface missing. There is a proper process missing. And for this quarter, you go with that report only, and next quarter, we will add the rest of the interface. Yeah? But this is it possible or not possible? I don't know. I only know when I collaborate with them. But I am willing to find an answer. I'm not saying it is not possible. I never say it is not possible. I am looking for possibilities. If one thing is not possible, I look for second possibility. If the second possibility is not possible, I look for third possibility. We explore and then we agree what is the best we can do and what are our limitations. Yeah, but I don't start with a limitation. That's an attitude I show as a project manager.
Really very good information, Saket. Thank you so much for detailed explanation with the scenario based. And next question is, I assume that you're working for a client project and it is 1 year project. You have already completed 6 months and you are on track as per the project plan. And the remaining 6 months, you have to deliver your deliverables. So today, let's say that today you have a review call with a client, and during the review meeting, your client manager want to go ahead with a major requirement, comes up with a major requirement, and you discuss and understand what are the changes required. So client says that it is a regulatory requirement without which I cannot go live. And with the remaining 6 months period, these regulatory changes should also be should be delivered at any cost. After the meeting, they are asking you to come back how this can be delivered with a detailed plan. Please share the solution approach. Note that we have to go ahead signal from the management. I mean, assume that you are getting go ahead signal with the management. How are you planning as a PM? How do you manage the situation and what will you do?
So this is a typical scenario of your change control board. So if you are taking a predictive life cycle, we do anticipate such kind of things can happen. It is not something unusual. It could be minor change, it could be a major change. So I definitely want to work on finding out the right experts who can come together and give us the impact analysis of this change. So I definitely want to recognize that yes, there is something has to be done. And if it is needed, it has a business case, it has to be done. So I will involve the right stakeholders to do an impact analysis as an integrated approach, impact on the timeline, impact on resource availability, the type of training we need, the type of learning we need. So we need to do an impact analysis, primarily focusing on resourcing, timeline, and which is indirectly coming out a costing and risk area of it. We understand that in a 1 or 2 days may not be enough to have a very fine grain estimation of it. But at the same time, we need to have a first level estimate of it so that we can get a management go ahead for it. So I involve the right people, we do an impact analysis as per our organization process asset, and we share it with our internal change control board. And when they find it good, they probably will go for contract change control process as well, because this is not my area only, because it might also require additional funding. So I need to involve my respective sales and other stakeholders as well, because it might go for external change request. It's not no more internal change request. So accordingly, I probably need to give a reference of the contract terms, which makes it a change. And we will follow as we have agreed as per our contract, what kind of cost implications and other things will be there. So I work with my legal team, my sales team, usually a sales team in this particular case, because they are expert in the contract, which they have done with that particular client. Now, we do a first level estimate, we submit that, and based on that feedback, or maybe in parallel to it, we do start doing our replanning. Replanning could have various options available. It could be staff augmentation, because 6 months is there, augmentation is possible. So resource augmentation is also a possibility. It could be reprioritizing the remaining requirement. Probably you may want to drop some of the ideas and want to include this requirement as a major one. There is a possibility. It might be a phasing out the remaining deliverable. You may have a incremental deliverable strategy now, because earlier it was planned as a 1 year project, just finishing everything on a year. But looking at these scenarios, we may have a situation where we are saying whatever has been delivered, let's make it compliant and make it deliver first, and then we will do later on delivery later. So these all things can also go into a change request or a change control process, but we need to come up with possible options which are feasible for our client and which are technically feasible as well. I alone will not be able to do it. That's something you can very clearly probably say, that I have to work with my technical people as well, because they need to see all the feasibilities, and we need to keep some kind of reserve or a contingency for these estimation as well, because we do have a fine understanding, because we are working in this project from last 6 months. So I have a good understanding. My team has a good understanding, but maybe within a 1 or 2 days, we may not be able to do an impact analysis with the accuracy of 5 or 10%. So depending upon the impact analysis confidence, we may need to keep some contingencies and reserves also in our planning and forecasting. So that is typically I can probably take care.
Okay, very good detailed explanation, Saket. But like when someone is saying regulatory changes, again, in banking, regulatory changes are very crucial, and it may be crucial for any sector, any domain. But what are the things we need to consider when they are saying regulatory changes?
It could be any aspect of it. For example, it could be storage of data, it could be the overall sequence of activities you do, or you need to capture some additional fields. So for example, in India, they may say, from now onwards, you need to have a PAN card for each and every person, and you need to make sure that they do KYCs. Yeah, for example, you have a new thing. So what you need to create probably a new interface where people can do know your customer things, or you may need to have some kind of new additional information get added. So depending upon, so there is a new law which says do this, or maybe there is a new taxation system. For example, in India, they started saying, whenever you make a foreign payment, you need to deduct TCS out of it. Yeah. So you need to reserve and note down that how many foreign payment this guy has done, so that you need to submit this report to the government about all these foreign payments, and probably you were not taking care of it. So depend, those all are regulatory changes which has happened, and we need to comply to it, else government will not like it. Another thing is, nowadays in India happened that if you want to make a foreign payment, you need to register that payee as a trusted thing. If you have not registered it, you can't do it. And there are list of the foreign entities who can be registered like that. So the bank has to introduce that particular thing rather than you can directly make the payment. So there could be that kind of stuff as well. We understand we not be able to launch our product till the time we do all this, but we need to work with our stakeholders, with our project team, look for alternatives, and find out maybe we were having some requirement which were making the payment process easy, but we need to do that in a phase 2, but make sure that we take care of this approval process, this authorization process, which is now mandated by the government as a mandatory thing in our process. Yeah, so that kind of things you need to do, and they do have an end date also. By this time you need to comply, so we need to create a thing. Many a time people end up creating separate project for regulatory and compliance work, so that is also a possibility depending upon the type of change coming, because I can't just say all regulatory changes are same. It may vary, but I need to do impact analysis.
Yeah, that's great, Saket. So I have another follow-up question with the same with the same in the same area. So we were asking how how did you handle governance changes, and how did you manage to uh, implement the changes? What are the challenges that you faced?
So governance changes, I am suspecting they are looking for that your PMO or your management has some change in their process. They may have a different KPIs and they are looking for something else now. Yeah, that is what I can sense. Yeah, is this something they were talking about, or you don't have an idea?
No, even that was for a banking sector interview.
So
So
government or governance?
governance.
Governance, so internal governance only, na? So it is,
Yes,
yeah.
banking
So,
governance.
so what is governance? So governance is a process of ensuring that project is getting executed as per the organizational expectations. And if something requires management intervention, those things get highlighted in time. So governance should focus on identifying the type of measurements you do, the escalation thresholds you have, the type of communication you follow, the type of standards you follow. All these are governance. Now, any change in it is a governance change. So for example, the organization may say, we used to follow ISO process XXX. Now we will follow ISO process YYY, probably. Or they may say that we used to track burn down chart. Now onwards, we will track something else. So that's a governance change. Or they may say that all of the project used to be reported using A tool. Now it will get reported using B tool. That could be also a thing. Maybe the head of PMO gets changed. You had one A PMO, now you have a B PMO. Or maybe the executive or the people who used to run these quality and governance point, they may get changed. So all these things may be a governance change, maybe people change, maybe process change, maybe tool change, which is pertaining to ensuring your project is aligned to organizational objective. Yeah. So governance goal is supporting you to meet your project objectives and ensuring you that you don't divert or you don't get carried away somewhere else, and you stick to what the project objectives and organization's standards are. And if something is going wrong, they catch you. Yeah, that's the overall idea. Now, whenever these things are changing, I need to recalibrate my project management plan. In a simple word, or you may not want to use this word, I need to recalibrate my matrices, I need to recalibrate my quality policies, I need to recalibrate the type of escalation I have, I need to recalibrate my risk management strategy. The whole project management plan has to be recalibrated. For example, now new governance group is not interested in small risk. They are saying, guys, don't talk about those risks, only talk about risks which are beyond this threshold. So I will understand that going forward, I don't have to report risk which are below this threshold. That could be a situation. Or they may say that we want to track these matrices, so I need to make a communication plan talking about those matrices. They may say that they need a weekly report now rather than monthly, then I need to update the communication management plan as per that particular expectation. So all aspects of my project management are influenced by governance, all aspects of my project management, because I am doing as per their guidance, yeah, overall process guidance. And if that is changing, I need to see which aspect has a change, and accordingly I need to update and recalibrate and rework on my project management and execution approaches. So my audit frequency may change, my guideline for audit may change. That is something I need to do as a project manager.
Yeah, that really very detailed explanation, Sakit. I've got a broader picture on that. So again, going back to the previous question regarding the regulatory changes. So they were saying that the skill set which the programmers has a very rare skill set. So in that case, we need to either we do not have any other option. We need to implement the regulatory changes. At the same time, we have the regular deliverables which are planned as per our project planning. So which like we and at the same time we need to manage to deliver both the things. So is it really possible in real time
So again,
with
that
the same resource?
I
We
am
cannot add
looking for
resources with the constraint.
possibilities. I am looking for possibilities, and we will figure it out together. Yeah, that's the thing. So we have to work together to find out how to make it possible together. Yeah, if we can do it, we will do it. Else, together we will agree we can't do it. Me alone can't say that it is going to work or not going to work. So as a project manager, at least I demonstrate that I am looking for possibilities rather than I get, oh, this is not going to happen. So don't say, no, this is not going to happen. I says, I will look, but at the same time, I will be transparent about limitation as well. So I will look for a possibility with the limitations. So again, there could be a prioritization if it is possible. There could be even our regular deliverable. Probably you can take outsourcing help if it is possible. Maybe there is a possibility of doing things differently, maybe looking for a different approach for solving the same problem, maybe without doing any outsourcing, without doing any augmentation of people. Probably we can explore some of the automation tools, some of the other ideas, which can probably help us in speeding up our work. Yeah? We may get through some training, we may automate some part of our manual work with using AI. There is a possibility. So we explore what can we do together. And if we can do it, we definitely do it. If we can't, we need to do the best possible thing in that particular situation. So I think the such kind of question is basically trying to evaluate how innovatively the person comes with possibilities, because exactly we don't know what will work and what will not work. It depends upon the motivation of team members also. There is a possibility teams are very motivated. They might be willing to work extra hours for next 6 months. There is a possibility. There is a possibility also the team is already demotivated and every other day people are leaving from that particular team. Then even the current requirement is difficult to get delivered after at the end of a 6 months. Forget about additional requirement. Yeah, so all those things are reality, but reality varies. But I will say looking at a situation, I will figure it out if we can do something. I don't say that I will solve it. Yeah, so I don't be very think, oh, I will find some solution and these kind of solution I will apply and I will make sure these two things will get done. So you don't do that. At the same time, you don't say that it is not possible. Yeah. So you look for possibilities collaboratively with the stakeholders, with your technical team, and be realistic about your capacity and limitation. That is what I do as a project manager.
Yeah, makes sense, Sakit. Thank you so much for in detail explanation again on the same question. So moving on to the next question, like assume that you're managing 20 people in your team and you have two technical leads, A and B. Both of them are, with an experience of 10 years of experience, and both are technically good, and but at the same time both are critical to the organization. We had an scenario where these two, like A and B, wants their solution to be implemented in the current project, and they are they are saying that their solution is best. So how do you approach this? How do you handle this? So if you select any one person, like the other person may get disappointed, and may they may leave the organization. So how do you manage to handle the situation?
Yeah. So see, as we learn in our PMP topics as well, conflicts are there which are healthy. People may have a difference of opinion, but it should not become a topic of my interest, my ego, and I want to do my way. Yeah, that is the whole idea. So as a project manager, I realize it has already went wrong. Yeah, you can definitely have a solution A, solution B, but it is not about my solution or the other person's solution. It is all about how do we make our product better? How do we make our client happy? And how do we ensure future maintainability of our product? So it is not about person A, person B. It is all about what is in the area of interest for our organization and or our client. Yeah, that should be there. So I, as a project manager, make sure that I bring them to agreement at a level that all of us has a common goal, which is our customer, not A option or B option. And our customer should be handled, the long-term cost, the overall delivery is something our focus area. So before I talk about A or B, I want to focus on creating the alignment that do we care for customer. Now, if I am unable to do that, then anything is not going to happen. If the team leaders are not interested in what customer gets and they just want to do something, then it is anyway going to be a bad idea. There is nothing can be done. Yeah, much can be done, but I need to create that environment first. And I should be able to do it because we all are working for some project, some goal for the customer benefits. So I create that environment first by talking to them and making sure that they understand the shared value which we are trying to deliver. Now, as a second step, once we have that agreement, then we quantify what is needed by the customer. So probably we identify what are the 5 things the customer or the solution team or our organization look from the solution. And we identify those 5 areas. And then we say, okay, let's evaluate option A, option B, or maybe option C, something which can figure out together when we are doing this brainstorming, maybe a third option, because our goal is helping the customer, not option A and B. So we openly talk, it's a very healthy conversation. I make sure that both of them feel positive about it because they really care for customers. That's why they are championing and researching and so passionate about their solution. So I encourage them to be so passionate about their solution, but I make sure that their passion should be also diverted to customer value rather than ego value. So I appreciate their passion. At the same time, I remind about the customer. And then with their passion, we talk about, maybe I ask if you have a third option, also put it together. And then we agree on how do we make a decision. So I can do a multi-criteria decision making. I can, if I see the situation is people are not open and they have a lack of trust, I may involve third people also who might also vote on those criteria. So we identify the 5-6 criteria which help us in identifying the right option. We work together. We keep appreciating these people's effort to find a solution for their client. And then we, with the help of a group and agreed decision-making process, we find out what option is good. It's not about A, B, it could be C also, but we need to find something which help our customer to move forward. But I won't do compromising. Let's do your idea this time and somebody else's idea that time, because just to make my team member happy, I don't want to make my project suffer for a long time. Yeah. I want to find a solution which helps my product to grow, my organization to grow, my customer to feel good about it. So that is how I work in any conflict situation. Even in a PMP exam, we remind project managers to think like this rather than getting carried away. The person A wants this, person B wants this. That is not a good idea, but I need to take care of their concerns, empathize with them, thank them for thinking too much about the technical solution. It's a great thing. They are so much passionate about it. But at the same time, the passion should not become a distractor from a customer value delivery.
Yeah, thank you, Saket. So can we also take this way? Can we have a brainstorming session with the team, the technical team and all, and evaluate, do some POCs and evaluate what is the best solution?
Perfect.
Can
Yeah,
we?
you can do it. So first make them agree on how do we identify something best. Yeah. So say you identify 3 criterias, and out of these 3 criterias, if it is difficult to judge directly on a solution, you can definitely do a proof of concept to find out both the solution against those 3 or 4 criteria where we fits well. You can definitely do a brainstorming, but before that, I stress upon that keep the emotions aside rather than try to keep influencing the brainstorming. I can say we are focusing on helping the client to achieve something. Yeah. So you identify the better solution criteria first in a collaborative manner, and then you validate it by way of doing proof of concept, by way of doing brainstorming, by way of involving some other experts if it is possible. Depending upon the situation, you will work on that.
Yeah, makes sense, Saket. So the next question is, were you involved in budgeting your project, and what are the techniques you have used?
Yeah. So see, it is little bit exploring how do you do budgeting. Now, many of us who are working as a project manager, especially if you are working in an IT space, you may not do that much budgeting. Yeah, that could be a situation also. And you should be a little careful about not speaking too much which you have not done. But most of the IT project managers will do estimation of efforts. Yeah. So you need to be clear that what level of budgeting you are doing. You are doing effort estimation and you track that carefully, or you go to the level of money level budgeting also. Yeah. So you need to be very clear. Now in a predictive life cycle, usually it is done at a high level initially, and later on as we start preparing our project schedules, it is usually come with the resource rates. So you have a resource calendar for each resource, human being, physicals and all, the material you consume, you put a unit price there. And when you have a agreed upon unit price for estimation purpose, now you are not putting a salaries of individual, you are putting a unit price. So you may have a 5 developers, you may put a same cost for all of them. Maybe their salaries may be a little bit here and there, but your organization will have a published rate which will be used for costing and budgeting purpose. But again, it has to match with your real story. If you make too much content here, then it may not be the working. So one of the possibility is your project is getting through the overall budgeting initially when the charter comes in. So you do a rough order of magnitude, your stakeholder does it, it's not done by you. And when it comes to you, when you go for detailed planning and when you get into resource estimation and effort estimation, you might talk about bottom-up estimation where we divide the work into tasks and we allocate resources to it. Then I use resource rate, resource calendar, and then resource effort and resource rate help me in finding out how our costing is going to work. That is how I project monthly expenses. And in one of my project, or you can, if you have an example, you can say that was used as a measurement process also for our variance analysis. But it's basically a function of identifying a rate for a resource and identifying a unit or a time units for long the resource is involved. But yeah, it's a final thing. But before that, you need to come up with a scoping, WBS, and activities and all those things. That's how you do. That's the adaptive, hybrid, predictive way of working. In adaptive way of working, you may focus on a fixed team size. We can say, oh, we estimate the size of the team, and then we know that per this size of the team will be having monthly expense of this, and our PMO tracks that as a expense unit to find out the ROI and other percentage of it. Yeah, so that will be a fixed capacity based budgeting. So I think you should not shy saying that we are not too much into budgeting space. Because usually in IT space, I don't see many project managers are too much into budgeting space. In a non-IT space, that becomes a critical effort. Yeah. So most of the project manager has a significant interest and experience in budgeting and budgeting related variances when they are working in infrastructure or other areas of the project management. But in IT space, it is not that much established practice. So you need to bring something which you can justify, but I think you should not be too much detailed there, because you can say, for us, we do a high level budgeting. We don't go into variance analysis that much critically.
Perfect, Saket. I really appreciate how you on fly you speak on any question I come up. Really appreciate.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks for the information. So next question is, assume that you have 1 year contract of a project and you are tracking the progress every 3 months. First 3 months you have met the deliverables, and later, like, you were assigned as a project manager after 6 months. So there is a gap between where the project status is not tracked. On the seventh month, when they no when you have joined the project and you start analyzing and tracking the project, you see that it is behind the schedule. So how do you plan to meet the deliverables as planned earlier? So, and it is a crucial enhancement for the entire project.
Replanning, same thing, collaboration, transparency, and working with the stakeholders and the teams to find out the alternative. So how do I approach? I make sure the current situation is well analyzed and well accepted. Before I do anything, I need to make sure the current situation is visible to everyone. So if it is not tracked from last 3 months, my first job is we have an agreement on current status. It is good, it is bad, it is worse, whatever it is. Yeah. So I will do my assessment, I will work with my team, I will work with my stakeholders, and I will make sure that current project status is transparently reviewed by everyone, and we follow the regular process afterwards to track the project status on as per our agreed communication plan. Now, if it is showing variance, which is a possible thing, any project can show a variance. Yeah, ideally, if the projects are managed well, the variance could have been taken early. But after 6 months, we have a variance. Now we need to deal with it. Now, how do we deal with it? Again, prioritization of requirement, fast tracking, adding something, crashing. So all those schedule replanning technique we probably apply, and negotiating some of the deliverables if it is the case. But I definitely need to forecast. I can't just say, let's stay silent for next 3 months or next 6 months, and we will see after 6 months. That is, I will not do. Yeah. So I will say, I will definitely analyze the current situation, replan the project, forecast the future milestones and release date based on current status. And if these forecasted release date and milestones are not coming as expectation of the stakeholders, we need to do a joint problem solving. I will definitely innovatively think about the process optimization option, productivity enhancement options, automation options, some kind of dependency resolution options. So I will look into all those areas, but we need to work in a collaborative manner. I don't have a one solution all the time, but I'm confident if we work collaboratively, we can figure it out. But there could be some situation where we need to take a 15 days, 1 month deviation as well, because we can't do anything. But I will make sure going forward, this get tracked regularly. Yeah, so that's something you can present as a project manager.
Thanks for the detailed explanation, Saket. So here, when you say replanning, so we have a scope creep as well.
So replanning is anything which has happened right now. Yeah. So say, for example, that in the last 3 months, people have worked more than what they were expected to do. They were not recording change request. They were not validating it. They were not marking work complete. There are a lot of pending defects. Yeah. So I will say that I need to take a stock of the situation. We can say, okay, where we are. If we have done deviation in our scope without taking approvals, without taking due diligence, I accumulate that. Okay, this is a new scope has been added, not recognized before. It's a new WBS. These are the defects which are not tracked. They are expected to be closed before we go forward. These are the team members who have left the team and we don't have a replacement for them. So I will also bring it. So whatever is happening right now, I put that into a place which should be done all the time. But since there was a mismanagement during last 3 months, I need to do a little bit current status analysis first. And once I have a current status analysis, maybe before I go to the stakeholders, I also look for what are the alternatives? How can we possibly solve this problem? And then with the current status and forecast state and what are the possible alternative, depending upon the situation at hand, I will involve the right stakeholders so that we can plan how are we going to move forward from here. So we revisit the whole remaining 6 months plan in collaboration, where we can look into prioritization, fast tracking, crashing, all those kind of possibilities.
Okay, but at times like these communication gap or changing the product manager, this is all internal to our organization. End of the day, from the stakeholders perspective or the sponsor perspective, it has nothing to do. The end of the day, we need to deliver the things as planned. So in that case, we actually drop down some changes, or do we go ahead prioritizing as planned?
Depends. Yeah. So respective stakeholder has to be involved. It could be internal stakeholder, it could be external stakeholder. If your external stakeholders are not bothered about it, then internal stakeholder has to take a call what they want to do. Yeah. So for example, I have worked in some projects. If you don't meet a date, you have a penalties also. You have a financial liabilities of not meeting it. But at the same time, we as a team cannot meet it. Yeah, we have a situation where penalty is for sure if we go in this particular situation. So I need to expose this problem. I can't say, oh, we will try our best, because it's not going to happen if we don't think creatively. Yeah, because things got mismanaged initially. They were perfect plan of delivering it 12 months and we will make a money. But now it is an imperfect plan and we are going to lose money at the end of a 12 month. Now my role is I am helping my stakeholder, internal or external, to navigate to this particular situation. I am saying this is the current reality. You can only navigate when we have a clear understanding of current reality, and then we look for options together. Now, the options could be that they want to maybe renegotiate the contract with the client first. There's a possibility. Or they may want to add more team, more expenses to make up the point. Yeah, that's also a possibility. Sometimes there's also a possibility they have a little bit clauses in the contract where they show that this delay is happening because of client approval delay. So the sales TP will say, we will find some way of saving our penalties. You guys don't worry, or you guys probably deliver it by this much time, and I can manage the penalty clauses by this particular way. So you alone cannot handle it. You need to work with these people, and depending upon the situation, we need to come up with the solution. Yeah. So, but we need to accept the current reality. If you don't do that, the situation will be more drastic. You are not going to help by hiding the fire. If you don't expose the fire, nobody will be able to taking care of it and it will burn more. Yeah, that's the general understanding of project manager. I need to expose the issue. We need to face the reality, and I alone may not be able to face it, but I need to show proactive approach. I need to show innovative approach. I need to show that it is possible to resolve it, provided we all work together and find some solution. We go with that approach.
Fantastic, Saket. Thank you so much. I'm very much happy with the answer, the way you were, with your perception. Thank you so much. So coming to next question, I'll shortly wind up the things. So assume that you are working you're working with multiple projects, and teams are located in different location and different time zone. So how do you effectively, with this different, actually we have missed out one sprint due to the time mismatch and time zone mismatch. How do you handle this situation and avoid this moving forward?
So that seems to be a most common question now, because and another thing could be that remote working as well. So remote working, hybrid working, people spread across different geographies, and that brings a challenge to you. And how do you navigate? Is something I believe should be the common question nowadays to any leader. Yeah, because it's something which you need to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Now, see, tool-wise, there are some specific tools only. Retrospective, you make sure that you engage everyone. You can't give a solution yourself. That's the first thing. So you need to involve everyone in solving this. And one of the possible tool you can use is a team charter, or you can say we will create a team level working agreement. So we can retrospect about what happened in the past sprint collaboratively, and we can take some references about how do we do our communication, coordination, collaboration, meetings next time onwards, so that we don't face this particular situation. And I, as a leader, want to ensure the team collaboratively come up with that solution rather than I impose that particular solution. So that's one side I will focus on, team charter. The another side I will focus on what all technological solutions are available in my company. So my company may have a licenses of few tools and which we may not be using. So I will explore what is my organization process assets. I will look into what kind of technological tools are available in other teams and may be available with my PMO. So I also go with that learning and I probably educate my team about all those possibilities. So say you may have a chat tool, you may have a say wiki pages where things can be updated. We might not be exploiting those areas. I don't say do it, yeah, but I will make sure that I have a good understanding of various tools which are available in the organization. So make people think, educate them about various technological options which we have, maybe existing tools or maybe some additional tools which are allowed as per your organization process asset. You can say there could be some additional tools also, but your company should agree to let you use it. And then using these two ideas, we need to come with a working agreement for our ways of working. So I facilitate these three things which can help us in being better in our communication management.
Thank you, Saket. But here, when like generally we go for Kanban board or Scrum board to make sure that that team is in line on the same page. But what if it is split to project?
So maybe you have a joint Kanban board. So as far as Jira and all is concerned, you can definitely have a multi-project Kanban board.
Even though it is split to, we expect the team to maintain Kanban board?
We can probably, if they agree to do that.
Okay, what are the alternate solutions? Do you have any alternate solution if it is split to approach?
See, the whole idea is transparency. It is just not about the board. It is about transparency and communication. So you may have your Slack group or a WhatsApp group where people can keep posting things. That's a one possibility. You may have your Confluence pages where you keep discussing user stories on a regular basis, because it is just not about task management. It could be about information management. So that could be the another area. You might not have a repository of common information where people can go and find the things. Maybe you don't have a dashboard which shows how the project is going, what kind of impediments are open. You may not have that clearly defined. So that could be some kind of dashboard creation could also be there. Kanban board, definitely having some common place where everyone knows where my work is and where my work is getting stuck is also a good idea. Additional thing could be some kind of activities, maybe a sync up meeting in an overlap time period, which can also help you in doing it. Maybe not done every day, maybe alternate day. That could also be a possibilities there. People might start using screen recording system in order to report a defects or other things because they cannot explain people. So we may start using some video tools to record the screens and put it as a part of our defect or as a part of our Jira tool. So they may end up creating a small videos about explaining the defects rather than just write the test description about it, if that is coming as a problem area. Yeah? So depending upon what kind of challenges we faced in our communication and what all tools are available to solve those things. It could be a communication tool, it could be a knowledge sharing tool, it could be a task management tool, it could be a recording tool, a voice recording tool, audio tools. Whatever it is, we talk about it, and then we can say, okay, guys, let's agree how do we want to work together.
Yeah, makes sense, Saket. Thank you so much. And my last question is, so tell me a scenario where you failed to deliver critical changes and what did you learn from it?
Yeah, so this is another open-ended question, and you need to talk about a failure. At the same time, you need to show that you did your best and still you failed. Yeah, so you need to keep that in mind. And the second thing, it also end up giving you a lesson for future. Yeah. So you need to come up with these three situations. That is something there. Now somebody will say, if you're doing your best, why the failure happened? Failure happened because you missed looking for something which was not very obvious at that point in time, but it became obvious later on. Yeah. So you make sure that there was a ignorance may be done because of your lack of understanding or your stakeholder lack of communication. Something happened that way. So I was talking about that similar thing in our yesterday's live session. So I can talk about that and I think that kind of failure we happened few times and we also handled that. So doing the design of your solution, assuming everything, all the resources are available, and not estimating the data size and the network bandwidth and the performance expectation in advance. And you designed everything, your team has done it, and we managed all the risk. We give a demonstration. All demos were going good. People were liking it. And when you uploaded the production data to it, because when it went live, the system was not working. Yeah, so that's something is a failure we had. And we had a live date coming after 15 days. We are going for UAT. Even UAT was performed because we performed on a test data. Everything is signed off, but you can't go live. Yeah, that is something is a situation. So you have to do very much firefighting. You end up working, your team end up working more or less 16 hours a day, all the weekends and all. And you spend around 1 month resolving it. And how do you resolve it? You end up doing good amount of re-architecturing of your application. Yeah, that is something you did. And you made it somehow reach to that particular thing. It was a delay, but after the delay, you were able to deliver it. Stakeholders were not that happy about it, but still we managed it best as per our possibilities of taking care of that particular thing. So that's one of my example, which I have faced through. And then you can say that we learned from it. And going forward, whenever I talk about projects, I do remind them to have a clear, and we recorded in our organization process asset as well. We started insisting on production equivalent data rather than just working on the test data. We started sizing the overall performance guidelines in the beginning, not to delay the non-functional requirement to a later stage. We started as an organization, it says, it's a 20-year-old story. Now we pass through it. And as an organization, we started making non-functional requirement as a critical aspect of our performance thing. Yeah. So my example might be too old. Yeah, it is no more a failure reason right now. But you may need to find out what kind of usual challenges people face nowadays, and you come up with that failure reason. Yeah, because my one may look too old. Yeah, and says, guys, still you don't do performance testing. In which world you are living in? So I'm talking about something 1999 era. That era, I think that was relevant example, probably not now. Yeah. So you need to find out something which is relevant, which may not look very weird failure, which looks obvious, frequently missed out thing. And then you also show how we have learned and moved forward from there. Yeah.
Thank you, Saket. Thank you so much. I'm done with my questions. I
Great.
really
Yeah.
appreciate your time, effort, and dedication for the
Sure,
short
sure.
notice.
Yeah, thank you. I think it was
Thank you
interesting
so much.
conversation. It will also help our viewers to learn something out of it. So great. Nice talking. Yeah.
Sir, one last saying from my end. I feel that you are a walking encyclopedia for project management and Scrum process.
Nothing like
I
that.
really
Yeah, it's
appreciate, sir.
like, yeah, it's been a while. I keep talking to people. I did a lot of project management before, and I keep talking to people nowadays, so it gets some ideas. Great. Thank you. Yeah, nice
Thank you
talking
so much,
to
sir.
you. Bye for now.
Have a good time, sir. Thank you.